What's going on, everybody? Chris Classic dropping a live car vlog. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Nobody tells you today, remember that God loves you, Christ loves you, and I love you as well. I'm praying for you guys. Make sure you subscribe to this channel to take it on podcast where I talk about professional wrestling topics, which I'm about to do. And I also put up my matches as Classic Alpha, professional wrestler of 13 years. So look, there's a playlist of my matches from throughout the years, to the beginning, through what happened this year and stuff like that. So make sure, man, I'm not a part of this business. I am this business for sure. Make sure you also subscribe to me and my wife's professional wrestling company, C3 Ultimate Wrestling. We just had our event August 30th, the 11th hour. C3 Ultimate Wrestling is back in me and my wife's control, so I'm happy for that. The matches will be uploaded probably by the end of this week, so make sure you subscribe to look at some new matches, but also look at some of these old matches, man. These wrestlers really be throwing down. I wanted to talk about the biggest elephant in the room, and it is AJ Lee and a potential return to WWE. Bars. As soon as like Becky attacked CM Punk, people was like, "Oh, AJ, 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 AJ. It has to be AJ. Please, AJ, AJ Lee, come back, come back. She has to come back." Usually, when a woman, female competitor, let me say it like that, when a female competitor attacks a man who is either married or in a relationship with a fellow wrestler, it's gonna always be an assumption. You know, when the Judgment Day, when they were attacking Edge, Adam Copeland, and stuff like that, and then when Rhea started attacking Edge, people was like, "Oh, Beth Phoenix is going to return." Beth would do like Royal Rumble stuff, she would one-offs or whatever. So it's just like, "Oh man, you touched this lady husband, now you got it before." You know, CM Punk getting slapped up by Becky and point to the sign that said AJ Lee and be like, "Hey, you wish you didn't put your hands on me." So it's a heavy speculation that AJ Lee is returning to WWE. Now, this is a return that people have been saying for years, even before CM Punk returned to the WWE, because a lot of people saw her role in that show Heels, and a lot of people saw that she was working out, had a six-pack and everything like that, was still looking good, keeping her body in good shape and all of that stuff for the most part. She did some stuff for women of wrestling. I don't know exactly what it is, some manager role, like taking care of the stuff behind the scenes. You know, a lot of people was like, "Okay, well, she's definitely coming back. She's definitely coming back to wrestling." You know, she's been shutting it down for years that she's not going to come back. And, you know, she's not interested and stuff like that. And, you know, you do have wrestlers that are like that. You know, it's not, you know, but there is that saying that once a wrestler, always a wrestler. There's always that. Usually a serious injury, a illness, or death. That's like the only three things that are really like keep a wrestler from out of the wrestling business. And a broken heart, I'll say that too. I know, full house moment. Anyway, still, a lot of people want her to. Now, I'm going to speak about what I've seen much of AJ Lee when I was watching wrestling during that Divas era. I know that a lot of us saw AJ Lee like in the NXT. Not NXT what it is now. This NXT consisted of WWE Crown Jewels. What's going on, WWE Mural? What's going on? I think I said it right. So, you know, back in the day when NXT first started, they didn't do this show, what you currently see that people like. What they did was you'd have an NXT rookie and they'd be with a vet. For example, Bryan Danielson, also known as Daniel Bryan. He was the rookie and The Miz was the vet, which is crazy because I do believe that Daniel Bryan wrestled longer than him. But the aesthetic of people a lot of people may not know who this guy is, but he would get reactions. But still, that's what it was. They'd have a coach and they do competitions. They do drills. They do the, you know, climbing ropes, carry the barrel. Then one week it's a promo school. Then another week, show a talent that you have. Think of the Diva Search with wrestlers. Basically, if you remember the Diva Search and stuff like that, you heathens. But still, you know, she was a part of that. I wasn't really watching it. I didn't really care for it. I think that in that episode, that season, Naomi was in it, and Caitlyn was in it. And Caitlyn wound up winning, even though, from what I saw, I thought Naomi should have won. But I know, like, it is what it is. I was a big fan of Caitlyn, too. But still, I know AJ Lee was in that season of it and stuff. And then eventually started wrestling, and eventually stuff like that. Like she pulled off anti-diva, and I think it really worked for her. It truly worked for her. I think she did great for what she did and stuff like that, and it was just very, very solid. A lot of people was rocking with that. A lot of people liked how she looked and stuff like that too. She was wrestling on the independents. I don't know everything about her as far as history. I'm just talking about as far as WWE and stuff is concerned. Eventually, she just started getting a lot of reactions and stuff like that, and then the stuff with Dolph Ziggler, then eventually with Kane, CM Punk, and Daniel Bryan. Like, a lot of people was liking this stuff. I remember during that Divas era when they was promoting Total Divas, she did her little version of a pipe bomb, and she talked about women who slept their way to the top and stuff like that. And a lot of people was rocking with it, and I do wish that WWE would have did more to it. But obviously, when that CM Punk situation happened with the firing and all of that stuff, they was taking it out on her as well, being the Divas champion. Look at how she lost the women's championship. She lost it in like a dumb way because Nikki and Brie, the Bella Twins, was beefing with each other during the time. And then when AJ was going against Nikki, for some reason, Brie distracted AJ so Nikki could win. Mind you, Nikki and Brie had a serious feud before that. They was mad at each other. It didn't make no sense, but you can definitely tell that they was taking stuff out on AJ because who she was married to, about to be married to. I don't know which one came first. I remember she was supposed to be married to Daniel Bryan, the Yes Movement and stuff like that. And I remember Daniel Bryan blaming her for losing his World Heavyweight Championship in 18 seconds at WrestleMania against Sheamus. And I remember that went into like they got married, and then she didn't get married to him. She said yes to being the general manager of, I believe, Raw. And then that went into her feuding with Vicky Guerrero and Tamina and stuff like that, and she started doing crazy stuff and walking around a blazer and some chucks and some Daisy Dukes on. I remember all of this stuff. So, and I remember a lot of people do remember that. So when she left, a lot of people was like, okay, well maybe she'll go to TNA when TNA was like still much of a big thing. Then AEW came around, and a lot of people was like, well, she was going to go to AEW. When CM Punk showed up and debuted in AEW, I think people was like, yeah, AJ Lee, she's definitely going to show up and be with her husband, because, okay, that was like the thing to do at one point in AEW. Like, hey, if you got a spouse, come to the AEW house. Like, that was like the main thing to do for a lot of people. It was like, hey, why don't you just come to this show and, work with your significant other? Like, those were things that like people were like doing, and that was like the speculation. And even to this day, they're still doing that kind of stuff for the most part. But still, her leaving, it did leave an impact because of how she was during that Divas era. She stood out like a sore thumb. She stood out because she didn't look like the traditional diva, the blonde hair or the streaks or the enhancements. She didn't look like that. She didn't, she seemed like, hey, I'm against the rules and stuff. Like I said, and these are people that usually do stick out and are very, very popular. Your leaders, your AJ Lees, your Rhea Ripleys and stuff like that. You have a lot of this stuff that's going on, and when you have these women in there like that, people are going to go connect with these women. Paige, Saraya now, or Paige, wherever I feel she's coming back too. The anti-diva. She didn't look like a traditional diva, the white skin and the black hair and all of that other stuff, and people were drawn to it. This is the same thing with AJ Lee, and this is why a lot of people still miss her. She could wrestle. Her octopus stretch finish was pretty dope because a lot of people wasn't doing it. She was great with her characters and stuff like that. Regardless, like throughout the years, she did many characters and stuff, and I think she did very, very great. I remember when the Big Show ran into her, and everybody, she looked like she was legit hurt, and Big Show was crying. Now, I want to say it's not Rusty the Big Show crying back in that era. Like, Big Show would cry for everything. I remember Triple H berated him. I remember Stephanie berated him, and then he would just cry. He literally just cried the biggest tears. But still, somebody that is definitely somebody that a lot of people miss. Now, some people are like, she was just okay. And like I said, you have your right to have your own opinion. I've said my thing about the Bella Twins, And some people like it, and some people don't. So you get what I'm saying? Some people are like, hey, she had her moments. She don't need to come back. It might look like it may be Rhea and CM Punk. Yeet. What up, Kate? I don't really think it needs to be Rhea and CM Punk. I do know that they have some kind of relationship to where like Rhea gave CM Punk his flowers and it made CM Punk emotional and stuff like that. And then, Rhea is deemed as anti-establishment, just like Punk is deemed as anti-establishment. It's Yeet over here. But still, I can see how they can connect and be a part of a tag team. People are going to react to it, but I do think that people would want to see AJ Lee a little slightly more. I mean, we've seen Rhea and Becky feud before, but still, if you are going to do that and not have AJ Lee, then that's fine, because they're not promoting her to be there anyway, and WWE is making a lot of money anyway, so not really listening to a lot of the people from the outside looking in. And why should they, I guess? But still, it'll be cool to see her back. I think that she wouldn't miss a step. Obviously, she makes sure her body and her mind is ready for it. But if she doesn't, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that what she has done with the I don't want to say small time, but with the time she's been in WWE, I think she's made a big impact. And I think that a lot of people heart is fond of her. What do you say? Absence make the heart grow fonder. She's not one of these wrestlers that like came back, wrestled a couple matches and left, or come back every other year and stuff like that. So I do think that it would get a big pop because she hasn't entered the wrestling ring for WWE since leaving. So I definitely think that it is something that will basically get everybody talking about it. People like looking at her old matches and stuff like that, and just trying to see, because on social media when you talk about it, oh, CM Punk's wife, hey, like kids may not know who AJ Lee is, but when you sit here and say, hey, CM Punk's wife should return to wrestling, people are going to look at that and be like, well, dang, who is CM Punk's wife? Oh, it's AJ Lee. Let me look at it. And then some people will probably like some of her stuff. You're going to see the signs. AJ Lee, come back. Please come back. Like I said, she hasn't been in WWE for a while. She's done interviews for other things that involve wrestling. She's done things wrestling-wise that's an anti-WWE and stuff. But still, a lot of people would definitely want her to come back. But what do you guys think? Are you guys expecting her to come back? Do you miss her? Think she's going to put on a great match? Or do you not care? You just want to see some great wrestling? Let me know. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Chris Classic. Let's take it home.